Right, ladies and gentlemen, the industry street, yes, they're coming thick and fast. And, you know, I like to interview people that I feel that have really put a mark on this planet within what they're doing. But I'm very interested in how did they get to that stage, because one guy that I've known for many, many years, and I knew this guy when he had a little record label. I know this guy, well, you know, he's going to tell you more about that story, but we've known each other for very, very many, many years. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to this guy now because he's also a very good friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Orlando Gittens.
Hello, Peter. Hello to
Is that right? Can
listeners.
I call you Gittens?
Just call me Git.
Git.
Yeah.
Orlando, do you know what? One thing about Orlando, you know, if you say to Orlando, can I have an interview with you? He go, no. He doesn't say to you, well, Pete, I'm busy, blah, blah. He just tells you no.
Yeah, life is too
Anything,
short.
he's not in a long thing. He tells you as it is. It's no. It doesn't benefit me. Don't do nothing for me. So why do I want to interview? Anyway, but you know what? I think I gave him a couple of brandies and he decided. How you doing, sir?
Not bad, sir. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I'm here.
Now, Orlando, you know I've known you for, well, boy, we were
Decades,
young.
Peter.
We were
Decades. Younger.
young. We were very young. But to the point now, the whole idea is we want to know about your life story. You know, this is your life. And it's all about, like, how did you start off before you got to this big stage that you're at now with all the artists you're bringing over? Obviously, I know that you had your own record label. We'll go deep into that and so. But how did Orlando as a young boy start off? I'm talking about mummy, daddy, running around, being a little brat. What happened?
Okay.
How did it start?
In the beginning, there's my mum and dad. They came over from Barbados in the late 50s. They had me in 1960, my brother in 1959, and my sister in 1968. My father, as far as I'm concerned, I found that he wasn't my biological father when I was 16, but for all intents and purposes, he was my father. He brought me up. My real dad I never knew. I was born in Finchley Park, but brought up in Walthamstow, E17, from when I was about 3 years old. Went to school in Walthamstow all the way through. Left home at 14, first time. Bit of a rebel when I was a youngster.
So you're a naughty boy.
I was a rebel.
What do you call a rebel?
You know what? You know the funny. In retrospect, I wouldn't call myself a rebellious person. I just liked having my own way. I was really strong-minded.
You do that now.
Exactly. Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
It was in the DNA from way back. But when you're a kid, obviously when you're a child and you want to have your own way, people say that you're rebellious. People turn around and say that obviously you're naughty and, you know, you're going against what your parents' wishes and blah, blah. But I was always strong-minded, always strong-willed. And I knew what I wanted from very, very young. And what I wanted was my own way. So I left home at 14. The first job I got was when I was 11. Again, that's because I wanted my own way. I wanted to buy some clothes. As anyone knows me knows that I do like a little bit of schma.
But you know your clothes. Before we get onto it, your clothes are different. You stand out. You're a little gentleman, right? But don't think he's a pushover because he definitely ain't. But you're a short gentleman, and you have some. Your clothes style to me seems like you keep with the 60s, black 60s. I'm talking
now,
really funk soul. That's
the funny thing
that's
is
your dress sense.
It's not even 60s, if the truth be known, because it's not flares and stuff.
No,
it's
not flares.
The bottom line of it is, I like what I like, and what I like doesn't have to go with what's in fashion. Right. I just have to like it.
Right.
And I put it together, and I put an outfit together in my own mind before I even buy it.
And you stand out
because it's individual. Because I'm not following a trend. I'm not following a fashion. Yeah. I do what I want to do, or just how I want to dress, because it's a reflection of who I am as a person. I tend not to think the same as everyone else. I tend to think slightly left to centre, and that's reflected in everything that I do.
And you're actually quite a quiet, laid-back person as well.
Absolutely. Life is too short to get hype. And get caught up in drama and stuff. No, it's too short for that. Also, you have to be. You have to be. Generally speaking, you're trying to avoid it.
Now, 11 o'clock... when you were 11... Yeah. Obviously, you wanted to go and get a job. So that was a Saturday job or something?
Yeah, it was after school. It was after school 3 days a week. I worked at Wimpy Remember the Wimpy?
Yeah, we remember the Wimpy.
Pre-runner to McDonald's.
Wimpy was all right, really. He was all right.
Wimpy was cool back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
Don't get it twisted.
The chicken burger, you couldn't touch.
Hello, my job wasn't cool.
That.
I was a dishwasher. Right,
that's
the
how
job
you
wasn't
start.
cool. But in fact, before that, I had a paper round as well. When I was 8.5, I had a paper round for 2-3 years. Then I went into the Wimpy, buying my own stuff, getting into more and more drama at school, more and more drama with the parents. Eventually left home, stayed out for about a year, lived at a friend's house, lived in the park for a week.
So you were homeless?
Oh, of course. I've done all of that. I've lived on the 19th floor of a council block. I've lived with no electricity, candles and a tin of spinach between two people. I've been there. I've done that.
You didn't. So basically, you wasn't brought up with a spoon in your mouth.
No, even
one like that.
my parents. My parents were. Well, I had 2 parents, which a lot of people. I'm grateful for that. They saved up hard. They bought a house in Wolford. So we had a good upbringing. It's just that I was hard ears, as my mum would say. My brother and sister, they were totally opposite to me. My brother stayed at my mum's house, my dad's house, until he was like into his 30s. Yeah. So he's, and my sister, she's in charge of the whole of East London now for the nurses and the physiotherapists and blah blah. She's the director now. So they was always that way, and I was always the other way.
Yeah.
Not the black sheep of the family. Probably the dark brown one. I'm only joking.
No, you're the black sheep of the family. I was the black sheep of the family as well. But anyway, it's really about you.
That's right, yeah.
So then from that, obviously, the good thing is that people knows that, Orlando wasn't somebody who was brought up with a rich parents and he got where he is because
I was brought up in East
London.
He
was a spoiled guy. It's nothing like that.
Yeah, nothing, not at all. Not at all. Far, far from it. Anything I've got, I've had to work for. Anything I've made sacrifices for, I've done it my way as well.
Right.
When I first left school, I joined the Ministry of Defence because that at the time seemed like it was a job for life, and I just went that way.
So you went in the army?
No, just the Ministry of Defence, which is the civil arm.
Okay.
So basically, I was responsible for buying munitions and
what age was that?
From 16.
Okay.
From 16. Because the first job I went for, which is I wanted to be a solicitor or something in law. I went for a job in Walthamstow, and they turned and said to me, "You can't get the job because you're black." I'll never forget that. That's 1976.
Wow.
And it's kind of like, and that was a wake up call at the time. I was like, well, okay, I'm black. I didn't realise before.
And they basically said that.
No,
to you.
it was 100%.
It was obvious.
No, it wasn't subtle. They told me you're not getting the job because you're black.
Wow.
Okay, I'll give it. It was funny. It was different times for us then. But anyone who lived it would know it was a different time for us as black people then as well. I mean, I remember one time getting to an altercation with a like a bus conductor. Remember the times where you said bus conductors and the bus driver?
Yeah. Tickets.
Yeah, you know the story. I tried to sit down on the seat and had a bag with my sports bag, and this white lady said, "Move for me, you black bastard." And
no.
I said, so me and her got into an argument. And then the bus conductor took her aside and tried to hit stove in my head. Remember with the machines?
Yeah. Ticket machines.
He missed. He hit the pole, bent the pole up. We got into a scrap. I broke his ribs and blah blah. And then the SPG turned up. Remember back in the day we had the SPG.
SPG vans, yeah.
Yeah, especially. Yeah. And they turned around and I said to them, "Well, arrest this guy because he tried to hit me with a finger." And I turned and said, "We're arresting you because you're black."
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm
so you've experienced a lot of racism.
Listen, the real deal for us is that we lived it, we was part of it, and then we experienced it, and you don't let it define who you are as a person. But racism was alive and well then.
Do you think right now it's secret?
I think it's more covert than it was back in the day. Don't think we had programs on mainstream TV where they called people Sambo and Nick Nog. That would never be allowed now.
Wow.
When you think about it, mainstream TV on BBC would never be allowed.
Yeah.
However, people still call you Sambo, still call you nigger, still call you everything else as well. So has it really,
Jim
really
Davison
changed?
Was a prime example where he used to take the mick out of Chalky and all that sort of stuff.
Alf Garnett.
That was a racist thing anyway.
Of course, I mean, it's always been there, but we're brought up here, we do what we're doing, and it doesn't really affect you to that unless you let it affect you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Unless you let it affect
so
you.
then from Wimpy, you moved on from Wimpy.
Then obviously I've done my thing in and out of school, in and out of house, etc. Then I got the job at the Ministry of Defence. Stayed there for 3 years, and then I got involved with one of my mates who went the wrong way. He came and picked me up one day from my house about midnight, and he goes, "Come on, we're going out somewhere." So I went out, And next thing you know, he's climbing over this wall.
Maybe breaking into somewhere.
And he's breaking into the house. And what people don't know about me, those who know me, I wear really thick glasses because I'm half blind. Okay? I suffer from blindness. So even though it's like, I'm half blind. Okay. That probably explains the clothes sense. But anyway.
Yeah, God.
But it's funny. What he done that night, that changed my life because I was getting caught up with it. And next thing you know, these dogs are barking. And I couldn't see. And so I come out and each other and said, he goes, what are you doing? I said, first this, you can't pick me up. I'm out there and I said, and I can't see.
Oh, man.
And you're taking me on when you're blags and I can't see. And I thought, this is not me.
Yeah.
This isn't my life. This isn't for you, Orlando.
Yeah.
So, and he was my best friend at the time. I'm not mentioning his name because he's passed away now. But he's my best friend at the time.
All right,
so then we just kind of like, we split up and that whole group of people that I was hanging around with, I stopped moving with them. And I was looking for something to do and I went into telesales, believe it or not. I joined a company called the London Window Company, and I was doing double glazing.
Double glazing, yeah.
And I absolutely fell in love with sales, and I became a top salesman in that. Eventually, I left the Ministry of Defence about a year later, and I opened up my own double glazing company, property advisory service.
So you raised the money to do this, did you?
You know what? Back in the days, it's really funny because the whole thing at the time, I can't remember, it was there's the buppies and the yuppies.
Yes.
And it was going out there and doing your own thing and sign up your own business and blah, blah. And I literally just went out there with people that I knew, with a guy that I knew called Joe Rice, and I started up a company. And I'd saved up, probably about a maximum, probably about £500.
Which is a lot of money.
But back in that, I suppose it'd be equivalent to £3-4 grand now.
£3 grand, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So opened up an office, took in some staff, done a deal with some manufacturers, and started up a double glazing company. And from the double glazing company, opened up central heating company, open up a bricklaying company, blah, blah, with all reps just working for us.
Right.
And at one stage, we had about 100 reps working for us. Then in 1983, the guy I was in partner with, a guy called Joe Rice, he took all the money out of the bank account.
Oh, wow. Was this a joint bank account you both had?
You know what, it was a joint bank account, but anyone could take the money out.
Oh, I see.
You live and you learn, right?
Yeah.
So he took all the money out, and I think at the time, it was probably, for that time, it's quite a lot of money, about £70,000. For that time, it's quite a lot, when you thought you could buy a house for like 20 grand or so.
Yeah.
So he left me as a bankrupt because I was left having to pay all the bills. So I was it was 1982 because I was 22 and I was bankrupt, and it was like, wow, and I owed all these people money. And it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me because I've got back down to sales again, basic sales. Started working for a company, Metropolitan Windows, became the top salesman there, and I was earning about £5 grand a week back in those days.
Wow.
Selling double glazing. And then I went back into opening up my own business again, windows, etc., for a little while. And then I went into insurance.
What age was this, Orlando?
22.
22.
22.
So basically, you've grafted from
all the
young,
way through.
And you're not.
Yeah.
No one's giving you nothing.
No, it's not.
So when people see on the level you're on now, you got to that
it's hard
stage
work.
Through hard work.
Hard work. Hard work experiences knocks.
The goods, the bads, and the others.
Failures and successes, 100%. 100%. And one thing about it as well, I'm not frightened to try things, whether it works or not.
Yeah.
Because I just believe that success is failure turned inside out, and vice versa. So it doesn't actually bother me trying. And I think that comes from the sales background as well, where you're selling and not everyone's going to buy what you want, but your sales just around the corner. So you just keep on going until you find the person who wants to buy what you got.
So from the being the age of 22s now, you're now getting to the stage of where a record label comes involved. Is that right?
Well, that comes in later on actually, which is quite interesting. Obviously, when basically,
because I knew I met you when you must have been about 30,
just under, about
just
20,
under
28,
30,
29. Yeah. So what basically took place then? I went into insurance because again it was just sales. I had lots of reps working for us, and then they changed the law, the Financial Services Act, and it made it harder to do sales how I was doing sales. Basically, I had reps working for me up and down the country, and they were selling what's called premium linked policies, where it's all top ended, and you go in and you sell life insurance, and you make lots of commission out of it.
Yeah.
They changed the law, and that was no longer the way. So I sold the company to the Prudential, and at the time I was going to have a girl called Maxine.
The singer,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so she was doing what she was doing. I was doing what I was doing. In fact, she came and saw what she was working for me initially. And then she said she's got a record out and she's not getting paid. And I went, what? we're talking about you're not getting paid. She's just not getting paid. Blah blah.
So she was doing all the PAs, and they were just putting her on the bill.
Now I know a bit more about the industry, a lot more about the industry. Back in those days, you'd kind of see it like you heard a record on the radio and you think they must be earning a fortune, or blah blah. And it wasn't like that. But at the time, I didn't know. And neither did she. She was signed to Jetstar, and she said that she was owed some money for the record label she was with. And I said, don't worry about that. I said, I'll pay out your next record. And she goes, well, I goes, yeah, I'm going to open up a record company.
And that's when Soul Town came up.
Then I opened up Soul Town. So what I've done is I read up on it. Not read up, because I love music anyway. But I read up on the business side of it. And the company that I really, really admired was Motown. I liked how the model for Motown, which is basically, you had an engine room, which is your producers. You had X amount of artists who you groomed in terms of showing them how to be an artist.
Yeah.
You put records out and you kept it all self-contained. So I opened up Soul Town.
Soul Town, which was a British version in a sense,
that's
really.
Right, Motown. Yeah, that was the model.
Yeah.
So I opened up we had, I think when we first I had 7 artists.
Well, you had Maxine, you had Mary Rose,
Jenny Bell, Everest,
and then Everest, and then of course you had Wayne.
And then Wayne came in later on, and Ebony and
Fabian. You had quite a lot of them.
Lots of artists.
But those artists were big back in those days as well.
Back in the early days, Soul Town, for an independent record label,
you done very well.
Yeah, we had lots of number ones on the soul scene, lots. Yeah, we did. It was actually a really good label back in the day, and we probably had some of the most. Well, obviously Wayne Marshall, we've done over 150,000 copies of his album, which for an independent label
was very good.
Independently black-owned label with no major money at all was massive. Was absolutely huge. Actually, it's probably the biggest independent project at the time.
So you obviously then got to like promoting music instead of double glazing. So did you still do your double glazing? No. Stuff? You throw that down.
Double glazing moved into insurance. Insurance moved into music.
Yeah.
And I've never come out of music since.
Right.
But the interesting thing is, there's a guy called Chris at Music House over in at the time it was on Holloway Road. For those who know the game, he used to do all the dub plates, etc. And the masters.
The masters, yeah.
And the first time, and then in them times there, coming back off the insurance, I used to have a brand new massive 7 Series BMW. I had a chauffeur and blah blah blah.
Chauffeur,
Yeah, because obviously I'm half blind, so I used to drive illegally for about I don't know years and years. I used to drive illegally for years, but I couldn't see. But I love the cars.
Because I always said to you, I said, Lando, man, the amount of money you make, bruv, why ain't you got a bigger... Yeah. But you're not a show-off neither. So
nah, not like that, because I like nice things, but the bottom line of it is, what most people... I've got a house, and we live in it's not, I like it, blah, 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 with the missus and the kids. I've got nice clothes, it's a bit of Tom. And if I was driving, I would have a nice car, because I do like nice cars. But
because of your sight?
So I don't. So you just go by. Yeah. But the bottom line of it is, like, I'll never forget turning up at Music House in this car, and Chris Turner said to me, Orlando, he goes, you're doing well. He goes, but if I was you, so this music game, it's a hoe, and it will take all your money.
And it does.
And it really does. And, it's like
even as a promoter,
listen,
it does.
You get above,
you're a promoter, anyway. You're one of the high-profile promoters.
Yeah.
So it does. It does. I mean, a lot of people...
It gets into... I mean, that was 1988, so we're in 2000, so yeah.
And you've still been doing it. And you're still successful.
You have your ups and downs, you have your peaks and troughs. Sometimes you're really, really successful. People only remember you for 2 things in your life. When you really, really do well, or when you really, really do bad. But there's a period of time from everybody where it's just in the middle.
Well, that's why I always say these words, and I will keep saying it every day as long as I live until I go. When someone's talking about you, it's because you are a threat. When no one's talking about you, it's because you're not a threat. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's a positive. But when you're doing well, no one really talks about your successes, but they really will talk about your failures.
You know what I find? I think it's a bit harsh, but I'll tell you what I think. I think some people will admire you when you're doing well. Some people will feel sorry for you when you're doing bad. Some people will envy you when you're doing well, and some people will be happy when you're doing bad.
Yes.
That's people. That's people.
That's just
but
life.
Not everyone falls into one category or the other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's different. I don't ever look at other person when they're doing well and think bad of them. I love when somebody's doing well.
Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely. He absolutely gives me a hard on. I love it when somebody's doing well.
Yeah.
Regardless. And I'll try to help people when they're doing bad. Whereas, if I can, I will. Because I think that in life, you got to give to take. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So I think what you put in is what you take out. Helping people giving people happiness, giving people joy, you will get repaid for that. I'm a great believer in karma, even though I'm not 100% up on the religious thing, but I believe in spirituality and karma. And I think if you do bad, it will 100% find you. And if you do good, it will 100% find you.
Brilliant.
So do good. That just makes sense.
Brilliant, well said. And also, like, now, with Sultan, you had all these artists.
Yeah.
Why did they all start falling off the ladder?
Now, you know what people don't realise with the music business, and not just independents, right across the board. How many artists out of the millions of people's records that you got in your house
Are still capable.
make more than one album?
Yeah, true.
Or have more than one hit?
I remember back in the day, even the national charts, there'd be one track on an album, the rest was crap.
And then the artist disappears. But that artist is known by that one track.
Yeah.
And that is the nature of the game, because the people buying the records taste change. And a hit record, hits the spot at that particular time.
Well, as a prime example, let's talk about, if we're talking on a commercial level, right, we are talking about someone like Peter Andre, Mysterious Girl.
Yes, absolutely.
He's not known for anything else apart from Mysterious Girl. But that one track is made him.
That's his iconic tune.
That's his iconic
tune.
tune.
And you know, the majority of the 99.9% of artists are like that.
Yeah.
All you remember is their hit record. And it's like, pick a name, Chic, Jean Khan, Mary J. Blige. You have your moment. Erica Badu, my girl that I really like, Lauryn Hill. Now, everyone has their moment. Jaheim, you have your moment. R. Kelly, forget R. Kelly at the moment. Everyone has their moment.
Yeah. Take that away.
Yeah, I know, but he's got wicked tracks though.
He has got wicked tracks.
But you have your hits.
Yeah.
You're known by your hits, and then you drop out a flavour, and then after that you're only getting booked because of your hits. And that's when you become a heritage artist.
Prime example is what we're hearing now. You know, Jaheim was a big success. He drives for Uber.
No, that was a full story. But bottom line of it, he did have his hit. He's not as big as he was before.
Is he still singing then?
He's still singing. And he's still getting good money in America as well.
Right. Okay, so
the whole Uber thing was just a what's it?
Okay. Now, what's the situation now? So obviously it's about Orlando. Soul Town was very, very big.
Soul Town moved into musical therapy, because what happened was, in short, when the music game changed from vinyl to CD and then from CD to download, the money that was in it for the independents changed. The money streams changed. So going your prime example, you know, when the record label was at its height, you could go into the studio on a Monday, finish a record on a Wednesday, go to the pressing plant by Friday, hit the shops by Saturday, and the following Saturday you're picking up grands from the records that you sold. So therefore the whole thing could keep on going, because there was a definable money stream. You also had ways of getting to the market, because there's pirate radio stations that you could pay power plays for to promote your records.
100%.
So you could build your market, you could get the stuff.
We're called community radio stations, Orlando.
Well, back in the day it was pirate.
The industry, anyway,
Now, you know, this is the goods, the bads and the uglies. Now, one of your successful artists, as you've already mentioned his name, is Wayne Marshall.
Yeah.
What happened to you and Wayne?
Me and Wayne are best friends.
No, not in that way. Yeah. Why did you stop doing music with Wayne?
Because as I said, the music has its moment. When we done the whole 90 Degrees and Rising, G-Spot and blah, blah, that was in the 90s. It was huge.
Yeah.
Wayne got known for that. He still gets work with it now.
He's still known for it.
However, when that type of music dropped out of fashion, the industry wouldn't allow Wayne to change.
Right.
It was still Wayne G-Spot Marshall. Right. Now, G-Spot is no longer the flavour, but you're known as G-Spot Marshall. So what do you do?
Yeah.
We done loads of other records after that, but none of them became a hit. None of them even became known because no one wanted to accept it.
Yeah.
So you're left in a situation where what do you do?
Yeah.
You're no different to a million of other acts. There's only people like Omar and that have continued. The majority of people from those era, from that era, they're from 90s, from the UK thing, Cruise.
Yeah, Cruise.
Rhythm and Blues.
Yeah.
Eternal. All of loads of them.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
Finished.
Yeah.
So Wayne was no different to nobody else.
Right.
It's not like, Wayne Marshall. No. Unfortunately, we got caught up in something that was big. It was huge. But when you put a product together that's massive, the impression that it makes sticks.
Yeah, and it's only Joe Public see, because Wayne's not on there. Oh, Orlando and Wayne falling out. Yeah, Orlando's done this. Orlando's done that. And it's never like that.
If you speak to any artist I've ever worked with, ever, they will tell you the same thing. Like, Orlando, that's one of my best friends.
Yeah,
I haven't fallen out with none of my artists.
The people just love.
We're best friends to this day. I'm going to Maxie's wedding this year.
Yeah.
You know, we are
Make sure
best friends.
Tell her I'm coming as well.
Yeah, it's in Jamaica.
Oh,
right now. October. Yeah.
Anyway,
October. But you know, so, and even with the artists that I book, There's not going to, you know, because I'm a great believer in doing the right. I treat people how I want it to be treated myself.
Yes.
I talk straight because I like people talking straight to me.
Yes.
I don't do grey areas. I'm almost savant, really, where I've got this kind of like OCD thing. I like things done a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
So therefore I have to create my own kind of universe so I can get things done the way I like it.
Yeah.
Some people like it and some people don't, but no one can turn around and say that he ripped me off.
Yeah.
I've never ripped off nobody. I don't owe anybody any money.
Anything.
And there's no one out there that would ever say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So some coming from like the music background that I'm coming from, that's unusual. That's why a lot of artists have got bad things to say about producers and record labels and promoters, because a lot of the guys on the scene are hustlers.
Hustlers, yeah.
But I came into it as a business. So my business
And it
was,
still is your
yeah,
business.
it is my business. I've now, you know, I put on music weekenders and concerts and blah blah for the last like 15 years.
So
That's what I do now.
music therapy now is
Yeah.
the big baby right now.
That's
music,
what I do now.
Music therapy is like, well, it's taken over on the underground. You've got to be the biggest promoter, or one of the biggest promoters.
Probably one of the biggest promoters.
Yeah.
Probably one of the biggest, one of the most consistent.
And how did you manage to get to that stage? I mean, because, you know, even I'm a promoter and I do wins and I do loses and whatever and that. And no one really sees what your after effect is, or if you're sweating overnight because you've, like, for instance, you've brought Gene Khan over. No disrespect, Gene Khan is a legend, but as you say, you're as big as your last gig.
Yeah, yeah.
So Gene is getting on. So people, do I really want to go and see Gene?
Yeah.
She comes here every year. Belinda brings her here every year. I'm just a prime example.
yeah.
So obviously she's not £5 to bring over. She's not even a Kentucky box. She's big money. So is there times that you say to yourself, I mean, you do a lot of things in the Hideaway, right?
I do the Hideaway. I do the Indigo too.
And you do the Indigo too.
I've got the weekenders that go every year as well, and I like brands. I like things that last year in year out. You do lots and lots of shows at the same place every year.
So are you saying to me that you actually put these things on and you just take a massive risk, or are you saying that I know
every time you put a show on, you're based it on the fact that you believe it's going to sell.
Yeah.
However, if you got it right every time, you'd be a billionaire.
Yeah, 100%.
So sometimes you don't get it right. Sometimes
have you had a few failures?
Of course, I've had failures. Please.
Which is your biggest failure?
The biggest failure I ever done years and years and years ago. I done a show with Intro, Glenn Jones, The Emotions, and a host of UK acts at the time like Irene and blah, and I lost 70 grand.
Wow.
And I was broke. And that was, funny enough, that I was broke, and that was just before Wayne Marshall.
Wayne Marshall.
Yeah, I remember being in Birmingham with Wayne Marshall. We had one box of records with this record called Goody Goody that never sold, and was in Birmingham. We just got enough money to go to Birmingham. I said, let's go to Birmingham with this box of records, sell the records, then we got some money we can sit down and talk.
Yeah.
Didn't sell one record. Stuck in Birmingham with no money on my life.
Wow.
Meaning we're sitting on the wall in Birmingham with no money with these box of records. And I remember I went into a record shop called Summit, a guy called Winston, and I said, Winston, listen, mate. I goes, I know you ain't selling blah, blah, but I need to get back on. And he gave us the money to get back to London. And when we're sitting in London outside my house, we're sitting on the wall. I said, Wayne, you know what? I goes, I've got an idea. And he said, what's that? I said, we're going to make a project. I goes, it's going to be based on sex. And he goes, what do you mean? I goes, he said, the whole project's going to be about sex. We're going to have sex on the video. We're going to have sex on the posters, blah, blah. We're going to change it. Now, Wayne was a church boy. Wayne was.
How did you meet Wayne? Because I met Wayne in the White Hart pub in.
Okay,
that's where I met Wayne.
You know, I was talking earlier about a guy called Chris at Music House.
Yes, yeah.
Wayne was working there.
Okay.
At Music House, and I met Wayne at Music House.
Okay, because he also worked a little time at Jetstar as well.
That's
didn't
right.
He?
That came after.
Yeah.
So I said, we're going to do a whole project based on sex. I said, but guys, Wayne, it's going to change your life. And he said, what do you mean? I said, because people won't look at you the same. I said, you know, you're quiet and blah, blah. They won't look at you like that. They're going to think you're some kind of voracious sexual predator. I go, that's how it's going to be, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, so I said, so I want you to think about what I'm saying, because if you're not
ready for it,
don't do it.
Yeah.
And he goes, listen, I said, I trust you, blah, blah, blah. I said, Wayne, I said, okay, blah, blah. And the rest is history. We had 90 Degrees and Rising, we had G-Spot, and at the time he was the biggest ice in the UK.
He was, 100%, 100%. And he's still got his props now.
Wayne's one of the best singers in the UK. I don't care what no one says, they just don't know.
Well, that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed.
One of the best singers, one of the best performers in the UK.
So after losing that mighty money and that gave you obviously a kick up the backside to say, am I going to carry on doing this?
No, I was never going to stop doing it. Losing doesn't stop me from doing what I'm doing.
Makes you stronger, doesn't it?
Because losing is part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
But look, you know, you can't win all of the time. It's impossible. It doesn't matter who you are. You cannot win all of the time. It's impossible. The secret is when you lose, is getting back up and going on again. And learning from what you've done before. So even when you lose again, you don't lose for the same reason.
Same reasons. Yeah, totally agree.
And that would never change for your life. That's how it goes. So for all the people out there trying to do their thing, expect to lose. Welcome it. Love it and learn from it and move on from it.
So you did obviously you do obviously a big show right now, which is of course Giants of Lovers Rock.
Yeah,
What made you? I've known Orlando Gittens more for his soul. And what made you? Is it just a money adventure that you did it?
You know,
how did that come about?
I tell you what, the people don't understand is like Lovers Rock. The first record I ever danced to with a girl was Louisa Marks' "Keep It Like It Is."
Can you dance, Orlando?
Not really. Not really.
You sure they'll see you?
I do better when the lights are off. I'll be real. But I try a little some.
Yeah.
So the first record I ever danced to was Lovers Rock. The first record I ever bought was a Lovers Rock record. Then I bought a soul record.
Yeah.
I've always loved Lovers Rock.
Yeah.
And even back in the day, Soul Town was Reggae Man Soul.
Right.
It was two-step soul without the chink, chink,
Yeah,
chink.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Think about
Without
it.
the chicka-boom,
Yeah,
basically.
think about it. Wayne was R&B, but all the other stuff, Mary Rose,
All that.
all that.
Yeah.
It was Reggae Man Soul, so I was always coming from that. It's not like I was some kind of fancy, you know, dancing, blah, 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 like soul boy. No. I was always coming from the two-step Lovers Rock scene.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, with Giants of Lovers Rock,
Yeah.
you've been doing that for a number of years,
10 years.
now. 10 years
yeah.
strong. And your shows are just getting better and better. Last year, you did a massive one. You tried to bring the soul artist.
Yeah, because you've got to always be constantly trying to push the envelope out, trying constantly to make it bigger and better than what you've done before. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
What was the critic side? Because I mean, this is the good and the bad and the ugly. And
Yeah.
I heard some negative sides about that the soul people couldn't catch up with the reggae.
The problem when you're doing something new, in theory, it works perfectly.
Yeah.
In practice, sometimes it doesn't work out like that.
Work out.
The key is in trying it. Now, what I've done is, obviously, as you rightly said, I brought in a lot of iconic soul artists. I supplied them with iconic Red Lovers Rock tunes, and I gave them 3 months to learn it. The mistake I made, to be honest with you, is that some of the acts didn't learn it. That was the problem. If they had learned it, then everyone would be running around saying it was the greatest Lovers Rock show of all time.
Yeah.
So the problem is some of the artists let themselves down. Okay?
So it wouldn't have put a dampeners on you because you're the promoter.
Listen, all I can do as a promoter, you come up with a concept, you ask people if they want to be involved, you pay them to be involved, you give them equipment to do what they're supposed to do. If they don't deliver, I'm not on stage singing for them.
Yeah.
If they never had enough time to learn it, I would throw up my hand and say it's my fault.
Would you ever try it again?
I would 100%. 100% with different artists. I actually think the concept is what's needed to keep Lovers Rock alive.
Right.
I think Lovers Rock was a fantastic genre.
100%.
From the 70s to like the mid 80s, it was at its peak. We're in 2020 now, and this is with the greatest respect to the artists, because obviously some of them now are my best friends.
Yeah.
The real deal is the scene is not going to grow and get younger.
Never.
Because it was it's a heritage music.
Yes, 100%.
So the only way now to expand the market is to bring other elements into it to expand the market.
And you're keeping them quite alive and out there, because you're also, a lot of them, you're their agent as well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course, because I play it straight. And obviously, if you do the biggest show in a type of genre, then other people that want to book acts from that genre will come to you anyway. So naturally, around the country, I'll get people asking me around
So
the world
would you say that Giants of Lovers Rock is keeping the Lovers Rock artists still at afloat and current?
I think
Because you do it every year.
I think because the fact that it's every year, because it's the biggest Lovers Rock show in the country, I mean, it gets the most attention for Lovers Rock. And what will normally happen is you'll get other promoters will come to the show, they'll look at it, they'll think, that looks really good, there's numbers here, blah, blah, I'm going to book a Lovers Rock act.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it helps keeping Lovers Rock alive. But that's great, because Lovers Rock was such a massive part of my life. I feel honoured to be doing something to keep it alive for as long as I can keep it alive.
Then obviously along the way, there was a situation that you put on a massive show with Frankie Paul, where he was on his illness side of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to ask questions of What exactly went wrong there?
I can tell you. I'll give you exactly the story, because I got a phone call from Frankie Paul saying, Orlando, I've lost my leg. I've suffered from diabetes. I lost my leg, and
we saw that online.
And I can't. Yeah. I'm not getting on shows and blah 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 blah. And I need this leg. If I can get this leg, I can perform again. I said, Frankie, I'm going to put on a show for you, and I'm going to raise the money for your leg. I put on a show for Frankie Paul, and I raised the money for his leg, which was £8,000. Unfortunately, and this is just keeping it,
keeping it real.
Frankie decided that he no longer wanted the leg; he wanted the money instead. The people who put their time in it, like myself and all different people involved in the show, I never done it to give Frankie money for a holiday. We done the show to raise his money for his leg. So I bought the leg. We got went to a prosthetic company. I paid for a consultant to go see Frankie Paul. They measured his leg, took the treatment, blah, and we bought the leg. So now we've got a leg, and we've got Frankie Paul. But then from that moment onwards, Frankie Paul said, I don't want the leg, I want the money. And it's like, Frankie, I've done it to raise the money for your leg. Then other people in Jamaica and everyone started getting involved and started talking. For a whole year, it was madness actually. Give him his money, you've ripped him off. No, I never ripped him off. I done what I said I was going to do, which is what he said he wanted, which was a leg. I'll give you a prime example though. I've got a phone call from the person in New York, because now the leg is in New York. I'm in London. He's living with his sister in New York, in Brooklyn. I phoned up on a Monday, and I said, Frankie, the guys are coming to your house on Wednesday morning to fit you the leg. Orlando, that's great, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, can you send me some money though? Frankie, we've spent the money on the leg. We've got the receipt for it. Wednesday morning, I'll get a phone call from the people from the consultant. Said, Mr. Paul is no longer here. What do you mean?
Oh, wow.
What do you mean? Speak to the sister. Frankie, as soon as I came off the phone to him, booked a flight to Jamaica. I went the next day to Jamaica, knowing the leg was coming on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Then I had people phoning for me from Jamaica saying, oh, Frankie Paul's here, and he said you raised £100,000 at a show and you've got his money. And all I kept on saying to people, I bought Frankie Paul a leg. But what's quite interesting is how many people want to get involved in things and talk rubbish when they don't know.
Concerned about them,
and it became a massive thing on the internet, and everyone was talking about Orlando's ripping out, and all I kept on saying is, people, I've got the receipts, I've got the pictures, I've got all the documentation. I bought Frankie Paul's leg like he wished. Then you have people, when he's changed his mind now, he wants the money. So what do you want me to do? Go and sell the leg? What, on eBay? Where am I going to...
Because the leg costs a lot of money.
Of course it costs a lot of money. And then to wrap it all up, in the end, I spoke to Frankie on the phone. As you know, he put the video out, apologising, saying that Orlando only said what he said he was going to do. He raised the money for the leg. I've got my leg, blah, 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 blah. Then Frankie passed away.
Which was sad, R.I.P.
That's right. And when he passed away, I got a phone call from his family saying, Orlando, we haven't got enough money to bury him. I took money out of my own pocket on top of the leg and paid for Frankie Paul's funeral. How about that? And that's guaranteed, that's a fact. And if you look at the sheet, the memorial sheet, it tells you I done that.
Who paid it?
Right, so I done that. And guess what? Frankie got buried with the leg. The clothes that he was went to singing, his suit, the white suit, I paid for it. So don't tell me about Frankie Paul and blah, blah, blah. And Frankie Paul wasn't even like he's a friend of mine. I done it because of what Frankie Paul meant to the industry.
Because of the legend.
Because of the legend. That's why I done what I done. So that, and people, that is 100% the real deal about the Frankie Paul thing. God rest his soul.
Definitely.
God rest his soul. So it's fantastic. Okay. And it all got sorted up in the end. Everyone knows the truth now. It come out there. Frankie Paul's family come out and said what the truth was. Frankie did. That's done and put to bed. And all those people that were talking at the time, talking nonsense, and you know who you are, should feel ashamed of yourself. But let's move on.
Okay. So then after that now, would you say at all, I don't think it has it dampened your promotion on your shows?
Never. Why would it?
I'm just...
I
have to ask that question.
There's 365 days in a year. 12 months in a year. So that was one thing that I've done. I've done loads of other things since then. As I said to you before, things in your life that don't go right aren't the reasons why you should stop doing what you're doing.
100%.
You just move on. That's part of life.
100%.
Move on. Great, just move on. I've got 2 great kids. You've got loads of blessings in your life. those are the things that make everything else worthwhile.
Yeah.
And sometimes, do you know what? Sometimes the funniest things in your life when you look back on it are the things that went wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the greatest experiences in your life, you look and think, in retrospect, that was hilarious. I can't believe I've done that. And blah, 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 blah. At the time, you might not have seen it, but in retrospect, when it all gets put into perspective, guess what? It ain't that big a deal. You wake up the next morning, you breathe and you carry on.
Where a lot of people just don't get a chance to breathe.
There you go. Be
That's
grateful
right.
that you can.
That's
Be
right.
grateful that you still got life. You know what I mean?
Okay, we've had your worst show,
Yeah.
and we've obviously had the bad bits of the situation. Which is the biggest show you've ever done, Orlando?
Oh, probably the biggest show I ever done. In 1999, the BBC paid me to do the Millennium Show. Remember, when we was heading towards the new millennium?
Yeah.
The BBC said they was going to do shows from all around the world, and it was going to be the biggest live spectacular ever. Well, I done the one for the Caribbean, and basically, I spent a year in the Caribbean, which was a fantastic experience on my own, just going from different islands, booking acts for the show. And in the end, I think I was about 60 artists from Shore Park in Tobago. And I organised the whole show and put it out live on the BBC for the minute. And the funny thing is, I was out there for a whole year, all the different things, and I think in the end, I've got about 6 minutes broadcast.
Wow.
After all that.
But your pocket got more than 6 minutes, right?
I was alright.
It was alright.
But it's fantastic, massive show. And obviously, I've done big shows. I've done shows with 40 artists on it. I've done Britannia Reggae for the BBC. I've done loads of different things.
You know what shocks me about you is that, I suppose you're a bit like me, but you don't work with no partners or nothing. Was that because of the getting stung before?
No.
With that situation?
No, it's because I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
I like things being done my way.
Yeah.
And the best way to get that done is by working on your own.
Yeah.
So even though I do work with other people, I work with people on projects.
You just pay them just to do the job?
No. Sometimes I'd work alongside someone on a project. Hailing Island, the weekenders that I do.
Yes.
I work with a guy called Scott James.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So I do work with people on projects, but I don't work with partners on all my projects.
Yes.
I work and pick who I work with.
Yes. I've
worked with different people. I've done a series called Giants of Rare Groove. I work with Michael Fontaine Eastender, who's a great promoter, puts on shows.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I work with different people, different people at different things, but primarily I can only work with people who will give me the space to be who I am.
Yeah.
To come up, because the ideas I come up with, sometimes they're not based on convention. They're just based on how I feel.
Yeah.
Based on a warped, twisted sense of logic. You know what I mean? But it's my logic.
But a lot of your stuff does work, Orlando.
Because it's not coming from the same place as everyone else's thing's coming from.
Yeah.
But the problem that you've got is obviously when you're talking to people, if they don't understand it, then they don't understand and they think what you're doing. But you know why you're doing it and why you want to do it. Sometimes you can explain it to them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's kind of like, well, you know what? I'm going to do this because I believe it's going to work. And then they can judge you. And I always turn around to a lot of people, even from American Soul Time days, judge me on the results because you're not going to get the process.
Not the failures.
You know what I mean? And you do the process. The process doesn't make sense to people, but I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And at the end of it all, when it works, sometimes when it works, you can turn around and say, well, you know what? That was out of the box for you guys. But for me, it was perfectly logical. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what would be your biggest show you would ever like to do that you would tap into? What artist would you bring over that would just say, you know what, I can sit down now and say, I've done this now?
You know the funny thing, obviously when you're growing up, there's certain artists that are iconic. Michael's already gone, so I can't do Michael Jackson.
Michael, yeah.
As I said, Motown was my label that I based my record label back in the day. Probably doing a show with someone like Stevie Wonder would be brilliant.
Oh, that'd be mad.
Because it'd be massive. That'd be like one of the true world icons. To say that you promoted their show.
Is that not doable?
Stevie Wonder wants $1.5 million.
Wow.
I haven't got that kind of money.
Wow, $1.5
million, and you've got to
do a show,
and you've got to guarantee him at least 3-4 shows in a tour. So someone like Stevie Wonder, you better be rolling. You've got to be a millionaire and prepared to risk millions. And so that's why the big boys like your Live Nations and your AGs and your SGMs, who are multi-billion-pound companies, they do those big acts. And that's why the little promoters like myself don't do those big acts, because you're just priced out of it. But going back to your initial question, obviously that'd be absolutely brilliant if I could do a massive, massive, iconic artist like that. Once he could say, I've done that.
You're doing some stuff that you were thinking of doing iconic-wise, is that you're going to do the twist. You've done the soul, but you were going to do sort of a jazz feel as well. Type of thing. Are you still going to do that?
Yeah, because obviously over the years, the artists that we look up to, that's within our reach, like the majority of artists that from say the 80s and the 90s that I can work with, it's now taking those artists that we love, whether they be in the genre of art of soul or reggae or R&B or jazz, and making them do something a little bit different to expand on the market, to expand on the idea, pushing them out of their comfort zone and introducing them to the audience to another type of variation of what they do, so people can just say, wow, that's brilliant.
What do you think about the promotional game at the moment? Because I know let's be real, it's a cutthroat game. We're all trying to get that same penny. So what's your personal opinion around it? Do you think that we should all get together and we can be the Live Nations or stuff? Or do you think that a lot of people will be too controlling in the sense that it wouldn't
well, you know what you find is that the guys that whether they be the DJs that have got a profile or the promoters have got a profile, the reason where they are is because they're very strong-willed, very single-minded in what they and how they like to see things done. Now, when you've got a room full of people who are really strong-willed and all self-focused and put them together, ultimately the problem that you've got is, you know, you've got a scenario where I've got my idea, you've got your idea. Be fantastic if we had the same idea, but we haven't. Then how does it work? It's not because you don't want to work with the other person. It's not that. But you can't. You're not the kind of person who works for people. You're a boss in your world. So now you're asking a whole heap of bosses to get together, and you're saying to them, right then, who's the main boss? Whose idea becomes the idea everyone's going to work behind? That's the problem that you've got.
Well, in the promotional game, as you've just rightfully said, you know, there's a lot of controllers, and we're all controllers at our own craft.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously, you know, we've also slipped up as well, because if we would have all got together, we would have had another radio station. We could have all bought Choice FM and invested into it and made it still be here today, like an iconic person passing over, and you're still bringing their name up every year and mentioning that. So why do you feel that we do not, and this word has to be said, why do we don't stick together? We don't. We can talk about.
The funny thing about this sticking together, I look at other models. I look at look at Capital Radio and all that. Yeah. That's controlled by one person, with lots of people working for them.
Yeah.
They just got more money. You see, this whole kind of idea of that all these captains of industry, we all come together and form something. It doesn't work like that in the white world. It doesn't work like that. You have a boss and you have finances. And somebody puts it together, then you've got other people, demarcation, people doing what they do. Most of these companies aren't like loads of different companies all joined together to make one. Sometimes we're a bit hard on ourselves. We see it like that, but our problem is in the black community is finance. If I was there's lots of people that I know that are good at what they do in our game. They ain't got the money to do what they want to do properly. Yeah. They haven't got the money. If they had the money, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because they'd be doing what they're doing.
They're doing what they're doing.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Barry Gordon was Motown. But he had money. He made the money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The guy who had Puffy's label beforehand. Sean Puffy Coombs, but the other guy before Sean Puffy Coombs, Uptown Records. You know the guy from Uptown Records? Okay, come to me. But anyway, he had his own money. Then Puffy went up and done his own kind of bad boy records and had his own money, funded by the record labels. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. AG, Live Nation, SJM, Martial Arts, they're all one person with a lot of money.
Right.
They didn't come together. So
they're all franchising?
They're not even franchises. They're just a big company.
Yeah.
They're just a big company with lots of employees.
Right.
To go drift.
Which is the record company
anyway. Which is the record company, which is the promotional
BMG,
company.
Sony, all of them, they're all Columbia, they're all together.
They've got massive amounts of money. So it's not because, if you turn around to me and said, what's the biggest problem with the black business is lack of finance. That's our biggest problem.
So how do we get that finance, Orlando?
Well, you know what? In an ideal world, we would do what everyone else would do. We would just go to the bank and get the loans. But the banks aren't giving us that kind of money. So they don't give us that. We've always had that disadvantage as black people, that the majority of banks don't back us in business. It's just a fact. Yeah. They don't. They would back a Chinese person, they back an Asian, they back Europeans and blah blah. Unfortunately, and it's just a statistical fact, black people don't get backed.
Okay, let's get back, because this is the good, the bad, and ugly. Yeah. The situation you're going through in the court at the moment with the boat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you put on a massive event with a couple of other people, with a couple of.
No. I didn't put an event with no one else. Basically, 5 individual separate promoters, booked the same venue. This venue happened to be a boat for 5 separate events. Yeah. The only thing we had in common before we booked them was that we was all black. Some of us knew each other, some of us didn't. But none of us are working together. We was all separate.
Right.
Okay. So it's like Bojangles. So you Bojangles, you involved
Yeah.
5 promoters go and book Bojangles.
Yeah.
You're one of them.
Yeah.
Bojangles turned around and said, we don't want none of you in there no more. And it turns out the reason why they don't want none of you in there because you're black.
Because I'm black.
That was exactly the same as the boat.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
not like we all come together to book an event. It was all separate.
Right.
I had 2 events booked on the boat. Another guy had one, and everyone else had their own.
Everyone had their own.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
What happened was that boat had an incident on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And on the Monday, they turned around to all the people who were black, who had booked the boat and paid their deposits and were promoting their shows and had their shows coming up and selling tickets, and turned and said, we no longer want your business, we're cancelling your contract.
Wow.
That's what happened.
So did the white promoters still have their space?
The only people out of 200 events booked that were cancelled were all black. Now the boat company are saying it was a coincidence. That the boat that caused the problem in the first place was a black promoter, and that the only boats that they cancelled were black. They turned around and said it's a coincidence. I turned around and said no, it's because we're black.
Right.
And that's the case, black and white.
Well, that's gone national now because obviously it's been on news and
It's been
stuff
on national
like that.
ITV and
So
stuff,
what's the situation now with that?
Well, now
we're still in court.
We're still in court. We're still in court with it. In fact,
sounds like you're going to pretty much win that case.
It's impossible not to.
And if you don't,
see how it works in the law of the land is, it's quite interesting. They've never had a case. Their case was totally indefensible. It'd take an idiot to turn around and say that it was all a coincidence. They never had a case. Whatever they said, they just never had a case. What they tried to do was just make it very, very expensive and make it very, very long in the hope that you'd drop out. Taking a case to court costs tens of thousands of pounds.
So have you taken a big risk with money on this case?
I spent a lot of money on the case, but it's not a big risk because when we get to court, I'm going to win.
You're going to win it back.
But sometimes you haven't got the money to get to the end.
Yeah.
And the prime example, there was 5 of us that took the cases on. There's only 2 of us. There's 3 of us left now. The other 2 have dropped out because of money.
Because of the money situation. So they want you to drop out because they know you can't.
That's how it works. The bottom line is if I'm turning around to you and saying, what then? You know what? Yeah, in 4 years' time, you're going to win this case.
You can't
but
wait
to get to that 4
years.
years' time, it's going to cost you £100,000.
Yeah,
you're going to turn around and say, well, boy, unless I'm going to get $1 million in 4 years' time,
it's not worth
why
it.
am I doing that? That's what they work on.
Right.
That's the premise. But as I said to them at the time, when I spoke to them, I said to them, well, you've got letters from AG, Live Nation saying that I'm a trustworthy promoter, I'm a great promoter, blah, 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 and you're still doing this because I'm black. I said to them, well, I know what the game is, but I'm not the right person to do it with because I will see it through to the end, even if it costs me my last penny, because I can't let you get away with it because I've got kids. If I let you get away with it, I'm saying to everybody else, anyone else can get away with it. I just don't work like that.
So, is there any more money that you need to put down, or is it?
Yeah,
is that it now?
The court case is still pending. We've got a barrister that wants $35,000.
Wow.
To go to the court. We've got a fundraiser on the 20th in Streatham, where we've got some of the artists who I work with, so they're going to give their time for free. Thank you very much, Janet Kay, Victor Romero Evans, Carol Thompson,
and it's all to cover
the Jones girls,
this case,
just to raise some more money for the court case. But the good thing is, this is the last year.
So you should get your result.
Then by the court case is scheduled in for between May and July.
Yeah.
We've got 5 days in court, and at the end of those 5 days, we'll all get the money back.
And Orlando's taking us all to Orlando, right? That's where he's taking us, yeah?
Is there Orlando in London?
No.
Is that a pizza place? Now, in short for that, sometimes you've got to do what you've got to do because it's the right thing to do, regardless how much it costs. Sometimes you just got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's one of those instances.
Well, that was obviously a very bad incident, and again, this is the good and the bad and the ugly, and that was one of the ugly parts. But you're still striving strong, and you're still doing these shows,
what we're doing,
and you still got a lot of things coming up as well.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I've got. Funny enough, I've just taken on. I do 2 weekenders at the moment, Hailing Island over in Portsmouth. Fortunately, they sell out every year, really good musical weekenders if you've never been one. But I've just found a new site which is over in Suffolk. And it's again, it's a resort, Pakefield Holiday Village. It's got 4 venues, so we'll be doing reggae in one, R&B in the other, and soul. One where it's a theme night where you theme different themes, dressed in white, pajama parties, etc. And we've got a concert where I've got different people in concert on the Friday, the Saturday. So we've got a reggae concert on the Friday, soul concert on the Saturday, and a massive comedy show on the Sunday. But the best part of it, we've got our own private beach. 2 miles of golden sand. And when I tell you, it's proper beach. It's like you go in away on holiday.
Wow.
And the date that I've got is the first week in August, which is like almost, as much as you can guarantee in England, because we do live in England.
Yes.
If we're going to get good weather, that's when we're going to get really good weather.
Yeah.
So picture the scene, your favourite DJs.
August is a summer period,
There you go.
It's the ending of the summer.
So your favourite artists, your favourite DJs, in a venue that you got your own beach and you're there for a weekend, a Friday, the Saturday, Sunday. All your meals are included, including your chalets, all your entertainment, and the early bird offers £150.
How do you fit in spare time with your family? I mean, you got two beautiful boys.
Two beautiful, and you know, I see them every day.
And you obviously, you know, your son's a very inspiring football player.
Yeah,
he's playing for West Ham.
Yep.
And so that's a good thing that you.
I've got two young boys because I've done it the other way. Whereas most people had their kids when they were young.
Yeah.
I had my kids when I was older because I said I've got a lot of things I've got to do before I settle down.
Yeah.
That was my my viewpoint. So the good thing about it is I've got two great boys now who I spend all my time with because I see them every day. Every single day, because obviously I'm not gallivanting like I used to be.
You're a married man?
I'm a married man, absolutely. I would never have kids on the side.
But your wife must get a bit peed off sometimes. I don't get to see you.
She was peed off from the time she first met me. You know, that's part and parcel of the game as well, isn't it? I am what I am. Do you know what I mean? You are what you are. They know what they're taking on.
So what do you do to settle down? Take it, you know, you're relaxing time out of the music.
You know what? You know the funny thing is,
do?
I like Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah. I like having a laugh. My program of choice is The Big Bang Theory. I think it's hilarious.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Love Island.
No, forget Love Island. All that kind of reality stuff. No, I like a good laugh.
Yeah.
As well as other kind of films, obviously.
Yeah.
Queen and Slim, go and see it. Wicked film. But I like those. I like going to the theatre. I like going to restaurants. I like going to wine bars with my mates and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I like having time with friends. I spend a lot of my week, as you said, rightly said, with my boy, football. In fact, that's where we are now.
That's where we are now,
You know, I go see him play, or train and blah, blah, blah.
And we're going to have breakfast in a minute, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, well, when he comes out, training, which is...
Are we nearly late? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, just to wrap up this, because it's been absolutely amazing. And, you know, you get to hear what the man's really about. Orlando Gittens, of course, big promoter as well. But what do you want to do before you hang up your gloves? What is the major thing you want to do before you hang up your gloves? And have you got a lifespan on how long you're going to carry on doing this?
If you want to...
Because you're not a young boy, you know?
No, I'm 60 now.
Bro, you're older than me.
I'm 60 now.
60? And he don't look 60. He really don't.
You're as young as you are, innit? The real deal of it is like, what I'm doing for a living isn't a job. What I'm doing for a living is what I love doing.
It's fun.
It's fun. So I want to do this to the day I die. So when you say hang up your boots, this is what I want to do when I'm hanging up my boots.
Right.
I want to be doing what I'm doing now. I don't actually want to, this whole kind of idea of retiring, and that's not for me. That's not what I'm about.
You want to retire in a box, basically.
I want to retire in the box. I just want to keep it. I want to retire doing what I love, and this is what I love.
Listen, Orlando Gittens, this has definitely been your life, and I'll tell you something, it's absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for taking time out.
Thank you very much. I hope you got a little insight as to what I am, but as I keep on saying to everyone, the most important thing to take away from this is, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, folks. It really doesn't matter. What matters is how you deal with it. That's what counts.
Absolutely splendid. I've got another special guest for you next week. Watch out, right here on the Industry Street. This is Peter Terry, Orlando Gittens, my boy.
Whoa!
We'll be back on the rebound next week. Take care. Thank
you.
Bye. Bye.
Cool.